All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So exciting. Okay. I can see that people are still joining us, but I like to start on time because we have so much to talk about today. Hi, Christina. Hi, Tara, Lindsay, Ashley, Darcy. Amazing. Okay. So let's begin, ladies. I'm super excited to have you all here with me today. And welcome to the Magnetize Your Masculine Man live webinar with me, how to create your dating funnel with intention. So first things first, I really encourage you to be present and use this time for you. This is an important webinar, especially if you're single. I'm assuming that you're single and you're struggling with dating. That's why you're here. And maybe you're just a huge fan of mine and that's what you hear, which is also awesome. So I encourage you to turn off your phone, close your tabs, and really be present. So eliminate all distractions so you can really be present for the next 90 minutes. So logistics, I invite you to have a pen and a piece of paper because you're going to want to write notes down. The next thing is please type a plus in the chat box if you can hear me well and if you can see me well. These are the obviously most important things, and obviously you're seeing my screen, I'm hoping. If you're seeing my screen, then yes. Okay, pluses, lots of pluses there. Thank you. We have claimed support here on the live with us, which means that this is my support team. If you have any questions or anything, just let us know, and claim support is going to help you. Next thing, your location. Some of you have already posted your location, so I'd love for you to share with me your location, where you're located, and the biggest challenge in dating. And this is important for us to do because I want to hear what are your biggest challenge in dating, so that I can then show you a slide which I'm hoping is going to be similar. Like my slide here, your challenges should be similar to what your actual challenges are. So this is going to be very important for us. So what's your biggest challenge in dating right now? Please take a few moments to let me know. We're having people from LA, San Diego, Boston, Washington, Ireland. Hello, Nigeria, amazing. Brazil, New York, Miami, New York City, Chicago, Charlotte, North Carolina, San Francisco, Canada. Veronique, welcome. Colorado, Minneapolis, Baltimore. So amazing. Well, I'm in Australia, ladies. I'm like on the other side of the world. It's Tuesday morning for me. All right, let's see your challenges. Emotionally avoidant or unavailable men who are unwilling to do the work because it's too hard. Okay. I attract men with no direction who want me to mother them. Guys not wanting to commit. Yeah. Dating unavailable men. Meeting and being with a committed masculine man. Biggest challenge is finding high caliber men. Seems all good ones are taken, or very few. Brunel, we're going to get into all of that. Biggest challenge is lack of confidence. Mostly emotionally unavailable men. Guys who are avoidant and resisting, guys who are more available to me. Settle for less. Okay, want commitment. Emotionally unavailable men. Yeah, emotionally intelligent, available men. Love bombers who then run. Finding a man who's an actual adult. Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. Men that do not know what they want, not being honest about their intentions. Men who don't want to commit. Okay, so we really need emotionally available. Okay, so the trend, what I see here is so the trend here is really what I see is meeting emotionally unavailable men, attracting emotionally available men, men who don't want to commit. Biggest challenge there. Deep-rooted issues. Okay, now we're getting into deep-rooted issues. We're going to talk about deep-rooted issues. Okay, great. Thanks so much for letting me know. I'm super excited to get into. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to get into. So let's begin. I've planned this webinar for about 90 minutes. We might go a little bit over time. So for those of you who don't know me, which I think all of you know me, but for those of you who don't, I'm Anna Rova. I'm a relationship, polarity, femininity, and feminine embodiment coach. I'm a acclaimed podcast founder and host. To those of you who've been listening to my podcast, thank you. Super excited to have you all on board. I've interviewed more than 200 women on female success, femininity, womanhood, and men on masculinity as well. And I help single successful women mostly attract committed masculine men through my 10-week claimed group coaching program. And I'm a wife, a lover, a feminine partner, and a mother. For those of you who might know, I haven't disclosed it fully, but I have a toddler, she's 2.5, and I'm currently pregnant with my second one. So that's a little bit about me. Now, this is not about me, this is about you. So who is this webinar for? Let's do a quick check on like why you're here for and if you resonate. And if you do resonate with what I'm sharing with you here, who is this webinar for, just put a plus in the chat box as well. So you're burnt out and exhausted in dating. This is what I hear a lot of my discovery calls when I talk to women. Dating feels icky and like too much work. If you're resonating, pluses in the chat box, please. I don't know how to date anymore. Don't know what the rules are. Don't know what you're doing wrong. You've tried everything. You have to lead and ask men out. I've bolded this because for a feminine essence woman, exhausting. I see a lot of pluses in the chat box. And you're successful, you're strong, but you can't seem to break through the patterns of attracting wrong men, something we've seen in the chat box. And women who are wondering, where are all the good men? All right, lots of pluses in the chat box. Woohoo, we're on the same page. So what makes this workshop different? There's nothing for sale. There's proven content that will put you into the best position to create your dating funnel with intention and change your dynamics with men, hopefully. That's my intention. And actually the content on this webinar is literally what I have in my program that I'm teaching women who are working with me. I know there's maybe a couple of clients here who are working with me, and I'm like, why are you on the webinar? All of this is available to you, but I guess they can't get enough of me. Alexa, the recording will be emailed to you, yes, and will be available for 3 days for you to watch. And I actually highly recommend that you do, because there's going to be a lot of information. In fact, this information I ask all of my clients to watch at least twice. All right, and please stay until the end, because there's going to be a Q&A until the end, and there's going to be a personal invitation for you if you want to take things deeper. The chat box, use the chat box to kind of communicate with me right now, plus, minus, if I ask you a few questions. In Zoom, on Zoom webinar, you also should see on the lower right corner Q&A. This is where you're going to ask your questions. Now, hold your questions until the end, because chances are they're going to be answered. But in the end, when I open the floor to questions, the Q&A box is really for you to ask questions. I hope this is clear. And if not, type it in the chat box, and then Claim Support is going to help you. All right, and by the end of this workshop, my intention is that you'll understand what you're doing wrong in your dating life and how to create polarity and attraction so you can have a different dating experience. All right, really quick, I think I should share with you my story. If you've heard my story, I think you should hear it again, just because it really shows that, I've been where you are and I've struggled with the same things as you have, and I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. So this was me at a party or something. Many, many years ago. I was super confident at work, but I was insecure with men. Something that I hear a lot from successful, strong women, that they're absolutely killing it in their jobs, in their businesses, but it's like perplexing. What am I doing wrong? I'm killing it in all the other areas of my life, but with men, something's not clicking. That was me, and I saw some self-worth or self-confidence challenges there as well. I was blaming the patriarchy, playing that game. Constantly needing to compete with men and prove myself. I was playing the 50-50 game, which we're going to get in the webinar in a moment. I've also written an article. There's a whole podcast about how to stop playing the 50-50 game, and we're going to get into this when we talk about polarity a little bit. I was attracting weak men, weak who don't have their shit together, their life together. I call them feminine men now, who lack direction, who wanted me to lead. I was giving myself to assholes. These are masculine men, on the contrary, on the opposite, but men who are in their unhealthy masculine. They have emotional availability issues and so on and so forth. And I was dominant in relationships. I was leading all the way. I was earning more, working more, making all decisions. If you resonate with that, again, little pluses in the chat box if you find yourself in that story. And for me, everything, of course, started with a breakup. In fact, I'm here speaking with you today, doing the work that I'm doing, and spreading this message, because everything started with me with the breakup. And I know a lot of my clients, they joined the program and working with us because there was this one man that has broken your heart or has opened your heart to something, your eyes to something. Then you're like, right, I need to do something about this. This cannot continue. The pattern is very, very clear. So what am I doing wrong? And maybe that's why you're here. I was in a relationship with a feminine man, a beautiful man who loved me to death, and I loved him. But I didn't know any of this when I broke up with him, anything that I'm going to share with you. That's where my story began. But intuitively, I felt not attracted to him. I didn't respect him, and I didn't trust him as a man. And intuitively, the breakup was caused by that. And so I broke up pretty much almost an engagement. We were together for about 5 years, and I broke it off and I just moved forward. It was really, really scary, but I had to do it because I couldn't continue. And so from then I needed to start dating again. And I'm like, all right, how does this work? Because I have been in 2 long-term relationships and I had no idea, how dating works and all of that. And what do men want, And so that was many years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago. And I started exploring and researching. And that led me to starting my first podcast, which was called Men Inside Show, which I'm going to share with you. An amazing photo that I did for a cover. And I kind of went on this quest. I realized, oh my God, like there's so much miscommunication. Even after all the books about, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, men and women don't understand each other. And I'm like, why? So I really started to be obsessed with this. I started researching, started my podcast, my first podcast, where I was actually just interviewing men about women in relationships. I started to read all the books. I discovered polarity, and through the podcast and my journey, I've discovered everything that I'm, sharing with the women that I work with and with you and all of that. And that led me obviously to attract my man, which I'm going to talk to you in a moment. But basically, I realized that the world of men for me and for a lot of women was divided into 2 different categories, which is like the nice guys, the feminine men, who are really nice guys, but you're not attracted to them. You do not trust them to lead, and you do not respect them in the long term. Or the asshole guy who is on this side, who is very, very attractive because he's in his masculine, but who is like literally an asshole. He goes, he disappears, and mainly he has commitment or emotional unavailability issues. So my world, and I think that, again, if you resonate, pluses in the chat box. So I know there's some sort of, back and forth communication between us. My world was divided into 2. There was nothing in between, I thought that there's no men who are masculine, who are committed and really have their shit together. And throughout this whole journey, I can tell you, I realized that there are men who are in between, and obviously I've met one, and I'm helping all of my clients not get one, but attract one. And I can tell you right now, with my whole core and my whole body, I know that there's a lot of them out there. In fact, they're the majority. And so this is where I had my breakthrough, right? I started working on my limiting beliefs about men. I started working on polarity, really understanding that. And then that journey led me to embodiment. So I'm a feminine embodiment coach right now. This is a modality that I use with women that seems to be the missing piece in a lot of the dating and relationship stuff that's out there. If you have experience with all of that, we work with actually women who've been in therapy for a lot of years, and we actually work with therapists themselves, interestingly enough. But anyways, that's a conversation for another story. And so today, here's my man and my baby. This is an old picture. She's like 1 year old here. I couldn't find a better picture of us because my man doesn't like to take photos. And so selfies are kind of not in our repertoire, but she's 2.5 now. And as I mentioned, I'm pregnant with my second one. So, I attracted and married a masculine man. We've been married now for 3.5 years, going to 4. I'm able to surrender, let go, allow my men to lead. I feel taken care of, wanted, and valued for who I am as a woman. And I've created and we're sustaining sexual polarity. So I'm surrounded constantly by masculine men just by being me. And I connected to myself as a woman where I'm being more relaxed and joyful, something that we've talked about. And obviously I'm helping all of that do for my clients. Here's my Men Inside Show cover. How do you like that? I got all these men to take their shirts off, and then we painted their eyes black. I was in the center. Hilarious. Here's my man, and again with our toddler and all of that. And this is my kind of branded photo for Claimed, my group coaching program, where we help women attract committed masculine men. So this is something to write down. Know that it's all on you. And the concept of radical responsibility is something that I talk to all of the women who joined the program early on in the program. And I take it very seriously, because every single woman has the power within her. You have the power within her, and you have all the answers within you to help you break through your patterns of attracting emotionally unavailable men, feminine men, and get what you want. And it's all on you. It's all on you. It's all inside. I've done this for myself, obviously, and I'm helping women. I'm seeing women do this every day for themselves. But it all starts with you. When you start taking radical responsibility of looking at your patterns, looking what's underneath that, looking at your belief systems that you have about men. Today we live in a crazy world that's just distorted everything for women, for men. We're like in chaos. What's happening? And that's a subject for another conversation. I'm sure you hear me talk about this on my podcast and my writing. There's a lot of layers to this and a lot of factors that contributed to basically the dilemma that we have today. The more women are successful, the less happy they are in relationships. This is a trend and a phenomenon that I observed as I was doing this work. And I was like, why? And so I found out the reasons why, and I also have the solutions to that. So if you're a woman like that, struggling, you've come to the right place. So let's begin with actually the content. Stop talking, Anurova, about, I don't know, your story and stuff. Give me the juice of it all. So the two premises, let me just get, I usually don't drink coffee, but today I do because I needed that boost. So two premises of our today's webinar on how to create a dating funnel with intention and magnetize your masculine men is: number one, dating is not a job interview. I want you all to write this down. The biggest problem, so dating is not a job interview, number one, and number two, dating is supposed to be fun and exciting. These are the two premises that we need to change our mindset and mentality and our attitude towards dating. If you want to be successful in dating and attracting what you want to attract, these two premises have to be your mantras. Write them down, write them, I don't know, put them on your mirror, whatever, keep repeating themselves. Most importantly, to embody them. We're going to talk about this at the end of the webinar. Let's talk about dating is not a job interview. This really relates to the concept that I share on my signature webinar on how to attract a committed masculine man, which I'm assuming a lot of you have watched, maybe not. But I talk about the three key shifts that you need to do to attract what you want. Basically, this is the idea of the workhorse versus the wild horse, which I know a lot of women resonate with. So the workhorse is basically a woman who is playing by masculine rules, who's been told to push, 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 go, 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 succeed, succeed, succeed. You don't need a man. Be independent, rely on yourself, lean in, and all of these lady boss messages that have been ingrained in us since probably we were little girls. And so what we do, we put the blinders on and we just march and push forward. And so that's really great. And look, I'm a strong, independent, successful woman. However, I know how to surrender and relax. And I know that that mentality, that masculine energy, does not work for me when it comes especially to relationship, but also in life in general. I don't want to be trapped into some dogmatic societal norm. You are the workhorse and you just need to succeed and push and produce. One day I woke up and had this epiphany. I'm actually the wild horse here. I wasn't born in a female body, put on this earth to work like a horse day in and day out. For what? This doesn't make me happy, doesn't make me successful, this doesn't feel good. And so I'm sharing with you this, the workhorse versus the wild horse, is that when you have that awakening, you know that there's a different way. And so I wanted to share with you these two women. This woman goes on dating with an attitude and with a goal and with a strategy. And she also goes on a dating like it's a job interview. She has her checklist. And if this is you in the past, because I know this because a lot of my clients say this, you know, in the past, and a lot of the stuff out there about dating and relationships is really about that. It's all about, here's a strategy, here's a goal, how to get the guy, here's some scripts, always end up with a question. Make sure your profile is this and that, you know? And she's like coming on the first date, this woman, I mean, she's a beautiful woman. I don't know her, obviously this is a Shutterstock photo and maybe she's not what I'm describing, but when we look at her, this is what I'm seeing. It's a woman who wants to prove herself, who's coming on a date with a goal and totally in her masculine energy, sitting down on a couch like this and saying, prove to me that you're a decent guy. Prove to me that, you know, you're worthy of me sitting here. And here's my checklist. And she starts asking questions on the first date. What are you looking for? She wants to know where this is going and what is his checklist. Biggest mistake that you can make, because men are not there for a job interview. It's like how you want to approach dating is like this woman here. I tried to find a picture where she's a wild horse. She's there to have fun. She's there in her own being, and there's a lot of presence there, and she's there to laugh at his stupid jokes and really just get to know him, right? Dating is all about having fun, and this is premise number 2. It's supposed to be fun and exciting. If your dating life isn't fun and exciting, you're doing something wrong. Like, this has to stop, and you have to do something about it. Because dating, when you really think about this, is the only time in the relationship container, right? If it leads to a relationship for about 3-4 months or however long it's going to take you, where you're going to have a lot of fun, and that's how it's supposed to be. So I always say to women, when you date, it's like you're shopping for shoes, right? You show up not with an attitude and with a checklist. I mean, you have to know what you want, but you show up to get to know the person, like relaxed, joyful. So many women are so stuck up in their bodies, and this is a body thing, and this is a mind thing. They're stuck in their heads, they're overthinking this, they go into their jobs every day, and then they're bringing that masculine energy and that overthinking into their dating life in men. But I've got news for you. Whatever's helping you in your job and your career and profession is totally opposite that's needed in your dating life. You need to relax, you need to surrender, and you just need to be there full on in yourself and just be, hi, John, how are you? That's it. I don't need to know where this is going. I don't need to know your checklist. I'm just dating and I'm having fun. So these are the 2 premises, the most important. And remember, it's all in you. Once you start doing these shifts in your psyche, in your system, in your body, and you know how to do this, which I'm going to present to you later, everything is going to change for you. Because men are looking for women who are, well, I'm not going to say easy, but soft and easy in their energy. No, you're not going to attract a committed masculine man if you're a woman who's like coming to the date with a checklist and a job interview. I hope this makes sense. If it does, then do the pluses. And it's all in your hands again. So, very important point. You attracting wrong men, and if dating is exhausting for you, this is just a symptom, okay? And the fixes, like a symptom, I mean, like when you have a disease, you know, it's a headache or whatever, you have symptoms, right? There's a deeply rooted cause there. The fix to the symptom is what we're going to learn today. You have to know the rules of the game. So when I was interviewing men, and I was, you know, so many women, if not most women, they're just oblivious, completely oblivious to the masculine journey, what men go through, how dating is for men. And this was my quest on how I got into this work. I really got to know men. And my mission today is to really educate women on that, because, and there are reasons why this happens. You know, as women, we go up to the bar, we show up, we sit, put on red lipstick, and that's all we got to do. And we get approached. It's actually an easy way into dating when you really think about this. But a lot of women don't think about what it takes for a guy to show up at the bar, to gain his confidence, to walk up to you and ask for your number, and how many times he gets rejected and bullied and so on and so forth. So women don't know the rules of the game. And if you're a woman who's like, I don't want to play games, I have news for you. Dating is a game, and it's a really fun game. And if you think that you don't want to play the game, then you're in the wrong game. Then, like, it's like any game is fun, and it's supposed to be fun for you. It's a dance. How I call it, it's a polarity dance in dating. So if you have the wrong attitude towards dating, these are the men that you're going to start attracting. So, or continue to attract. So you have to know the rules of the game. Women don't know the rules. And so, and men know all the rules, because as soon as, you know, they start having erections at 14, all they want is how to get women and how to date women. And so they start researching, like, the dating world for men is like completely saturated with everything. The dating world for women is very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very narrow and small, because actually women don't necessarily need to know this. It's intuitive for us. We walk, just by being a woman, you walk on the street, you're going to get attention. Men will always pursue women. Like, it's just in our biology and evolutionary psychology. So, but to maximize your chances in this game, here's what we're going to learn today. Feminine masculine polarity, 3 stages of the dating funnel, and 10 rules of being claimed. And remember, these are the fixes to the symptom, the actual root cause of your dating problems, which is, some of you have noted, I'm going to talk about this in the end. So stay until the end. So let's begin. So I can give you the rules of the game and you can know the three fixes to this symptom. And look, for some of you, this is going to be enough. Really, you're going to change your mindset and you're going to go out there and you're going to start dating and with a new mentality, which is great. But for a lot of you, this is not going to be enough. And this is very important for me to say now, because I'm sharing this content, not polarity, but the dating funnel and the 10 rules of being claimed. When I work with clients, we share towards the end of the program. Because first and foremost, we need to clean up the root cause. I'm all about the root cause, you know? I'm not about giving you a texting guide, because no matter how many texting guides you have or strategies, if deep down inside you don't feel worthy of a masculine committed man and there's deeper beliefs here and you're not embodied, then the men that you can attract are going to be the same. But let's see how this goes. So feminine masculine polarity is actually the foundation of my work. And I hear so many women, and to me, even today, I just can't understand why women don't know, why the world doesn't know this. Like, it's so simple. And there's actually, how do you say, not facts, but evidence of this everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. John Gray wrote about this. So many people wrote about this, but it's just, the way I learned about this is from David Data, which is feminine masculine polarity, which forms the foundation for attraction in relationships between men and women who are basically, well, I'm talking about mostly heterosexual. I'm assuming that you are heterosexual if you're here, but it also works in same-sex couples. So what is the feminine masculine polarity? It's basically a spectrum. As you can see here, this is just a picture. The feminine, let's say, is on the right, the masculine is on the left, and they're totally polar opposite. And so the premise goes like this. They're just two opposite sides of the pole, right? The feminine, most women, I say most, not all, most women identify with the feminine essence, which I'm going to describe to you in a moment. And most men identify with the masculine essence. Now, these are not some esoteric concepts. I actually went and studied why. And the roots of this are in biology and evolutionary psychology, which is, again, a subject for another conversation. Or if you end up working with me, you're going to get to know more about this. But basically these poles are attracted to each other, like the north and the south pole. This is the concept of duality, moon and sun, yin and yang, dark and light. And so when you have healthy polarity in a relationship dynamic or in a dating dynamic, this is where attraction happens, right? This is why we as women, and I'm a feminine essence woman, and I'm assuming that you are a feminine essence woman as well, since you're here, we are attracted to masculine men who take charge, men who are assertive, men who are successful, who know what they want. Intuitively and instinctively as a woman, you know that you can not necessarily trust this guy, because then if you get an asshole who's masculine, that's different. But intuitively you feel like you can be taken care of and you can surrender to this man. And he, on the other side, as a masculine man, he is attracted to your feminine essence. And every woman's feminine essence is unique, and that's the beauty of it. But when you have polarity that's healthy and created in a dating and then in a relationship, if you're able to sustain it, this is what creates sustainability and long-term success in a relationship. That's why I'm never focused just on the dating. If you know this and you can apply this throughout all your dating stages, which we're going to talk about, you're going to be a happy woman. You're going to have a man on your side that you can trust to take care of things, who can lead the relationship forward. And when you are pregnant and having children, you don't have to worry about survival. So one thing that I wanted to mention, very important, and I don't want to get into this too much, but just as on the masculine spectrum, on the masculine side, let's say men, most men, right? There are men who are feminine essence men, right? And there are women who are on the masculine essence women, but generally most women identify with the feminine essence. We're going to go through a description in a moment. But I want to say that the masculine, just like the masculine has healthy masculinity and unhealthy masculinity, which could be categorized as toxic masculinity, exactly on the other side, there is healthy femininity or feminine essence, feminine, and there's unhealthy feminine. Today, we're in a culture where it's just focused on the unhealthy masculine, forgetting to talk about unhealthy feminine. And I just think this is very one-sided and leads to a lot of problems. So let's talk a little bit more about what is the feminine. First of all, the feminine is power. One of the biggest and deepest beliefs that we work with women in general in our program is that the feminine is weak. And my message to you today is that it is not. And once you change that belief system about what you feel and think and believe about women in general and the feminine, that it is not weak, everything is going to shift and change for you. This is actually the deeper belief that we're working with women. The feminine is flow. If we look at nature, it's like the ocean. It's all about depth and chaos and a lot of movement and fullness. It's all about receiving and letting go. It's all about surrender. It's all about feeling. It's everything and wilderness. Women are incredible. Like, women are everywhere. You know, and you can see this evidence in everything, that from how women, like, look at me, I've got some red lipstick, I've done my hair today, my makeup, I'm wearing this jacket, like jewelry. You don't see men do this. Like, it's not in their nature. We are attracted to beauty. We want to surrender and let go. And let me go through the masculine, and I'll give you an example of how you know that polarity is at play. Like, women intuitively feel this. Our bodies are designed to create life. I'm currently creating life. My breasts are like 3 times bigger than they normally are. Every day I'm like, what's happening here? My husband loves it, but I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on. So your connection to your feminine essence is the key to you attracting a man who stands strong in his masculine. I'm going to talk about it in a moment. Now, on the opposite spectrum of the masculine, you have power. And notice, power is the first thing that I mentioned in both. Feminine and masculine are equal forces. Again, equal but different. There's no inferiority, superiority here. There's no dominance or submission. Notice the words that I'm using. Powerful, equal, but different. And that's how we play 100-100. And by the way, when we talk about polarity here, there are sometimes depolarized relationships. These are relationships that when we're playing 50-50. Let me talk about this in a moment. Let's talk about the masculine. The masculine is all about direction. And by the way, important also, both men and women, we have both. We have masculine, we have feminine energies within us. That's why, like, I'm here with you today presenting a webinar. I have a lot of masculine energy. I just have too much of it. And I'm assuming if you're attracting perhaps feminine men, you are in your masculine a lot. So what needs to happen is that you don't need to tone yourself down. This is a misconception that a lot of women have. But what you need to do is bring out a dormant side of you, which is your feminine energy. That is actually, when you get to know her, we do a lot of practices in my program about rediscovering your womanhood, right? Rediscovering, not like creating, because it's in all of us, right? You just need the tools to bring her out and to actually feel and know that this is your natural essence. So you do not work against your natural essence. So the masculine is all about direction. If you look at nature, it's like the mountain, unmovable no matter what. It's all about presence and achievement and a lot of stillness and structure, resistance, giving, right? If the feminine is receiving, the masculine is giving. It's all about thinking in the head, not feeling, and it's all about go, go, go. There's a lot of emptiness there, right? So you see how these two are polar opposites, just polar opposites. And my world of relationships, when I go to a restaurant, I sit down, and that's the first task that I give to all of my clients when we start working together. I'm like, start observing men and women behaving with each other. And your world is going to transform, because you're going to see this at play everywhere. Like, if we look at the polarity spectrum, that's why the girls who are super extremely feminine, you know who I'm talking about, they're usually with men who are very, very masculine, at least in their appearance. Start noticing this at play. Start noticing restaurants. And it's amazing how this happens. And again, this is not thinking. This is all instinctual. And this is very raw and primal, because that's where attraction happens. And biology and nature has designed this for what? So we can procreate. Pretty much. So what I wanted to say is that both men and women have this within us, as I said. But if you have a lot of masculine energy and you're bringing that from your work and from your day and your dating life and with men, you're going to be attracting feminine men who are weak, men who you can trust, and so on and so forth. So what's needed actually is for you to go from masculine more to the feminine, surrender, let go, get out of your head, like all of this, and bring that into your dating, infuse your dating with that. If you are attracting masculine men, but they're assholes pretty much, or they have commitment issues, that's a different story that we're going to talk about a bit later. So in the polarity dynamic, we have the ravisher and the ravishee, the taker and the one being taken, the conqueror and the surrender. Again, I'm not using dominance and submission. Please notice that. And by the way, feminine, masculine are just labels that we can use to describe certain things. And when you ask very successful women who are very driven in their masculine, if you ask them what they want in the bedroom, a lot of them will tell you, I just want to be bent over, thrown against the wall and made love to. Most women just want to be taken, and if you look at our body's design and our physicality, our genital organs are designed according to the polarity principle as well. So the destination for a feminine essence woman who wants to attract a man who has his shit together, who you're really attracted to and you can trust to lead the dynamic forward. David Data says a masculine man will lead you somewhere where you can't lead yourself. And this is so extremely attractive when you are with a masculine man who you can trust to take care of things, to take care of the bill, where you can just let go and surrender. A really good example of polarity is, if you are, obviously, you're with a man in bed and you're falling asleep. Do you want to be spooned or do you want to spoon him? Most women would say, I want to be spooned. His body is bigger, and when he really hugs me from behind, I feel safe. I can relax. When I ask women, how do you want to feel in a relationship? Actually, let me ask you right now. How do you want to feel deep down inside in a relationship? When you have that committed masculine man, you can post in the chat box now. Let's hear some answers. How do you want to feel in a relationship? I'll have 2 sips of my coffee because I'm talking too much. I think all of you can see the chat box. I'm not sure. Well, look at the chat box. Protected, secure, safe, 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 calm, protected, safe, safe, taken care of, loved, valued, protected, heard, seen, wanted, cared for, safe, 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 safe. And it's amazing how this is not just, obviously you've been maybe a little bit influenced by this, but oh my God, what do you think? Do you think men answer the same way? First of all, when you ask him, how do men feel in a relationship? He's like, what? First of all, his brain will need to catch up to the question, right? But men do not say, I want to feel safe in a relationship. Masculine men don't say that because that's not their desire. Their desire is to protect and provide. A lot of them are unconscious about this, just like women are unconscious about safety, but safety. And I'm not going to go into this, as I said, but there's so much evidence about evolutionary psychology, about how women, thousands of years, got together in tribes, took care of their babies. And when a man can protect you and you have that instinctual knowing that you can surrender, let go, and trust him and be safe, this is everything. So yeah, look at the answers. And so this is the truth. So first one, we talked about polarity, right? Now let's talk about your dating funnel and how to create your dating funnel with intention and how to not leave things to chance. This is when we're talking about, as a woman, you need to know the rules of the game so you can play it on equal field. Now, this is not my picture, but very illustrative, and I've kind of borrowed that. 3 stages of your dating funnel is number 1, awareness, which is exposure to potential suitors. Number 2, consideration when you're going on dates. And number 2 is conversion when they actually have a relationship. So on top of this, you have this is your funnel. And the idea of the funnel is actually something from, I'm not sure if it's from online marketing, but basically it starts at the top when you're just awareness, you're putting yourself out there. We'll go through them one by one right now. But you're just exposing yourself. Your first job at the top of the funnel, if you're a marketer, I'm talking now in marketing terms, but at the top of the funnel is really your exposure to potential suitors. You're putting yourself out there, you're going there, you're doing the apps, everything. You go into bars. I'm going to talk about this in a second. And then as men start approaching you, so let's say there's like 100 men that you're exposed to, right, in a month, I don't know, something like that. And then as men start approaching you, which you are letting them approach you based on the polarity principle, they're starting to ask you for your number. And it's up to you whether you say yes or no. One of the rules of being claimed, which I'm going to talk about, is that you create your funnel, men compete, and you choose. And so you choose out of 100, probably there's going to be, 20 that you're going to like and give your number out. And so this is where we go into the second stage where you actually start dating. And dating is obviously, the pool is a lot smaller because being exposed to 100 men, you're not going to date everyone, you're not going to like everyone. And then you start dating. And from that dating, obviously, there's going to be a few of them, or maybe obviously a few of them who are going to be very, very interested. And then one, well, a few of them can claim you as the woman, or offer you to be exclusive or be in a relationship. And then it's up to you whether you say yes or no. But the conversion is for you to be in a partnership. So let's go through them one by one. Awareness, exposure. So the top level where you're exposing yourself. Your main job here is to be feminine, work the polarity. Where I say work the polarity, now that you know about polarity, you need to really work it. Femininity and presence are your biggest weapons. So in order to play the game right, and this is literally, dating is a game of polarity. Some women say, you know, men do not pursue anymore. I can't find men that I can trust, or I can't find men who take the lead. Well, maybe that's because you're playing the game. You're not playing the game right. You're too much in your masculine. You're leading, you're initiating. Men will always initiate if given the chance, masculine men. You have no idea how many clients we work with. She's like, we went on a date. It's been 2 hours. Should I tell him thank you? Although I did thank him like 3 times when he put me in. Should I message him? And we're like, no, wait, no, wait. And guess what? Men initiate, and he will ask you, and he will ask you to see him again. You just need to give him chance. You just need to create that space and lean back. You need to, the biggest mistake, that the thing that women don't understand in the exposure and the dating stage, they lean in too much, and they don't allow the men to step forward and actually play in that masculine role of pursuit. Oh, for some reason I got muted. I'm not sure. Hope you can hear me now. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Carolyn. So they love the hunt. They love the pursuit for, there's nothing more exciting for a man to be attracted to a woman and to pursue her and to get those dates and to proceed this forward. Nothing more exciting. Do not strip them back of this opportunity. Give them that opportunity to pursue. Now, your own fears and your own kind of issues that arise from that, is he going to call me? That's your stuff that we need to deal with. And that's what we're working with women towards, right? Like, easier said than done, I think, is easy. You said that in our group, but yeah, easier said than done. It takes a lot of patience and sitting with the uncertainty of not calling back, or not calling back, but I mean not initiating. But you can do this, and if you do this right, you're going to be feeling supported, protected, and there's going to be so many men around you, and you're not going to have to lift a finger or create some strategy or work hard for it. That's why dating is exhausting for you as a woman, because you are the one running for them. What you need to do is lean back and let them come to you. So some of the just tips on exposure, right? And as I said, these are symptoms, surface stuff. The deeper stuff we're going to talk about in a second, right? Men are very visual. So first of all, embrace the feminine pole. Let go, lean back, let them come to you, and be open in your energy. Say yes to men. Say yes to men and go out with them. Do not make conclusions after 1, 2, even 3 days. Give men chances. A lot of men are going to be nervous with you on a date. You have no idea how many men are nervous, especially if you're a woman, or any woman. If you make yourself beautiful, you wear something exciting, amazing, you smell nice, your hair is great. So many men are just nervous on the first date. And what you do, red flag, whatever, I'm out of here. He doesn't have a checklist. Give men a lot of chances, and give them chances to rise up to the occasion. You'll be surprised by men. That's why a lot of women are like, where are all the good men? Well, you're not giving them chances. You're refusing to see the good in them. You're not playing the polarity. Then know that men are visual, wear skirts, high heels, nails, perfume, beautiful hair, makeup. And obviously a lot of you are doing that, I know, when you're preparing for dates. Work on your style. Have a lifestyle that you love. Focus on yourself and your dreams. Sexuality and looks, make it a habit and a non-negotiable. So when you're in love with yourself and your own life, you show up on a date with a certain amount of energy, with a certain thing like, I don't care where this goes because I have an amazing life and I focus on myself. Focus on myself. And I'm going to tell you the rules of being claimed is you are the prize and you're going to get the best piece. Now, a big mistake that women do, headphones. Take out your headphones out of your ears. If you're a single woman looking to date, headphones are your biggest enemy. Take out your headphones when you're walking, if you're at home, listen to the podcasts. But if you're outside, take out your headphones. If you sit at a restaurant somewhere waiting for someone, if you're in a queue or wherever you are, phone down. Headphones out, phone down. Be present. Open your eyes and be present. Be open to pursuit. A man knows when you're open to pursuit. If you're at a bar by yourself, I guarantee you, go to a bar by yourself every week, you're going to get potential suitors there. Men are waiting to approach. You just got to give them the sign. That's how it works. You're at a bar, headphones out, phone down. Phone is not even present, like in your bag, and you're just sitting there and having a drink. Watch how men approach you. Be present, right? Next one, dating with intention. You have to put yourself out there. You have to be very, strategic about this in the sense that putting yourself out there, but you don't need to be very strategic in terms of how dating goes because you're there to have fun, remember? Let yourself be courted. Remember, you're not looking for a husband. A lot of women go into dating with a goal. I'm looking for a husband. Where is he? Are you my next husband? Where's this going? Where's that going to be our second date? Can you tell me? Because I need to, no. Wrong approach. You're not looking for a husband. Yes, you're open to it, but a man senses a masculine man's biggest value is freedom. If he feels trapped, I work to this day with my man on this. I know he needs to feel free in the relationship. That's actually the biggest compliment he gave me. If your man will feel free with you and he will choose you every day, you know you're doing things right and you don't need any strategies. Your job is to focus on yourself, being your feminine, being your body. Let yourself get impressed. If he asks you, where do you want to go for dinner? You say, I don't know, surprise me. Surprise me, right? Create your ideal avatar. So this is something that a lot of relationship programs teach you. You have to know what you want, of course, but my philosophy, and because we're doing embodiment, don't focus on the checklist of how much money he's making, what is his job, eye color, blah, blah. Focus on how do you want to feel. So a lot of you said safe, spoiled, contained. Write that down. How do you want to feel in a dynamic with a man? Knowing that polarity is at play. How do you want to feel? And then judge your dating dynamic with a man by how you feel with this man. It doesn't matter how much money he makes. Ideally, he would be making as much as you or more, right? But even that is not important. There are masculine men who's going to make less than you, which is fine. But if he makes you feel the way you want to feel, that's what I would focus on because that's what's important, right? And then brainstorm. What kind of women is he interested in? And how well do you match that description? A lot of women have this fantasy idea, they want to get this man, blah, blah. But then when they think, well, what kind of a man, what kind of a woman is this guy looking for? And then you look at yourself and then you're like, yeah, I have some things to work on. So look at what do you need to work on? And one of the things is actually beliefs that we need to work on. Renelle, please post your question in the Q&A. And I encourage you to, in the Q&A box, I encourage you to wait until the end, actually, because it might be answered, okay? Where does he hang out? What are his interests? Brainstorm. If you know men who fit that profile, like, I don't know, girlfriend's husband or whatever, ask them questions and see where do you hang out? What do you like? What kind of women you're interested in? And see how well do you match that profile. Attend 2 weekly events with a high chance of meeting him. Of course, we're in COVID. Trust me, there's so many of my clients who found their men during COVID times. COVID makes it a little bit more challenging, but men and women are still waiting to date, still want to have sex, still want to play the dating game and be in relationships. COVID, no COVID, doesn't matter. Okay, so attend 10 weekly events with a high chance of meeting the type of a man that you're looking for. Ideas where to meet men, oh my God, everywhere. Like everywhere, like so many of my clients get approached at cafes, at bars, like on the street. I'm going to show you a screenshot, like everywhere. Like what happened, how many men, and actually some of the dating programs for men are suggesting, actually one of the strategies right now, which is very popular in the men's dating world, approach her, get out of the apps, approach women on the street, because this is a pattern interrupt. If you're open in your body and you're open in your field and in your system, men are going to approach you everywhere, especially if you have the right beliefs about men. Because think about it, if you come to a date and in your belief system, you think that men are cheaters, can't be trusted, and this has been instilled, obviously, maybe from childhood, maybe it's generation, what kind of a dating experience you're going to have with this man? Your belief system is going to drive that, but I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So Online dating, obviously the apps, everybody's on the apps now. And so there's the right way to do this with polarity at play. You need to meet up ASAP. The apps, there's so much between the lines. Give him your number and let him initiate to meet up ASAP, and then go and meet him. Meeting in person is the most important thing. Why? Because you're going to notice how do you feel with this man. Meetups based on interests. Travel, of course you can't travel much, but you can travel within the local area. Ideal avatar hobbies and interests only if it interests you too, right? Don't be that woman who's like not into cars and goes to cars events, because that's going to be a lie and it's going to be fake. Think of what hobbies and meetups. If you want to, you can be very, very creative about this and put yourself out there, right? If you're driving a car or in a male-dominated industries, ask men for help. And this is, again, a belief system in women. They don't ask men for help because they think they're going to look weak. But when you start doing that work, you're going to see, oh my God, how many men are just willing. I mean, there's so many stories in the women that we work with. Men are like, do you need your car change? I'm here to mow your lawn. Like, he's not even dating her. Men have this innate ability to help, to provide, and to protect. You just need to let them. Ask your friends for a match. Tell everyone that you're dating. Dating events, obviously you can go there. Salsa and bachata, Latin American dance is the best thing you can do in practicing polarity. With your eyes closed, it's all a polarity dance. In Latin American dances, the man leads, the woman surrenders. So I highly recommend, if you haven't done salsa or bachata, go to classes and continue going to social events. Well, you're going to meet men there. Although I'd be a little bit careful with salsa. Great dancers, men who just lead and are like passionate. There's going to be women around them everywhere, and I'm not sure if you want that. Anyways, rule number 1, you create your funnel, men compete. I want you to remember, I invite you to remember that. You expose yourself to a variety of men. Remember that top level, top stage of your dating funnel. Men compete for you, right? But it takes a certain amount of presence for a woman to do that right? If you have self-esteem issues, beliefs, self-worth issues, that's going to be hard for you. But again, if you need help with that, I'm going to tell you how we can help you do that. You create your funnel, men compete. Write that down. All right, so we talked about awareness, right? Like the top of the funnel, you exposing yourself to as many men as possible, and then yeah, I'm just getting a message here that we need to speed this up. And so the second stage is consideration, which is dates, right? So you go on dating. Again, remember, let him make the first move, right? I mean, with this thing, look, I don't have any hard rules for it. The only consideration that should I totally lean back, or should I initiate? The general rule is like of an 80-20 kind of thing. 20% of the time, let him initiate. Then don't be this total like 100%, like he's going to initiate, right? It has to flow. It has to be natural. 20% of the time you can initiate, but let them compete for you and let them initiate. Choose men who choose you and let them compete, right? Give signals when you find someone attractive. Women intuitively know how to do this. When you find someone attractive, your body language naturally is going to turn towards that, and then you're just going to put your leg here, but you have to open to it, right? Learn to reject with grace and remain on good terms, so you can always ask for help. Rejection, practice graceful rejection with men. You have no idea how many men have been hurt by women so many times with just really harsh rejection. I've seen women, even my girlfriends, reject so harshly. Don't do that. Don't be that woman. One woman can ruin a man's confidence for life. I can tell you that. This is real. And we women, we do not have, I mean, some of you might, but a lot of women have no idea what men are going through. Just the same way that we're going through heartbreaks, the same way the pain is real. Men just don't talk about it. Give him multiple chances, accept gifts, let him pay for dates, learn to say no in a graceful way, focus on your feelings, create healthy boundaries, set consequences, something that we work women on as well. And I've done another workshop on that. Be careful about sex during dating. Let me talk about sex. Sex, baby. Okay. So real quick, sex is not the same for men and women. It has never been. So if you are dating and you're having sex, be careful. Well, I'm not saying don't have sex. And look, I'm going to be the first one to raise my hand to say, hey, I could never abstain from sex when dating. I'm the first one, right? But know that if you choose to engage with a man sexually, this will create attachment for you and your system. Because for a woman, again, it's all evolutionary psychology. As soon as you have sex with a man, your psyche and your body basically is telling you, alert, alert, I might be pregnant, attach, attach, attach. Obviously with contraception and everything that's figure outable, but your system has, and your body hasn't caught up yet, and your psychology hasn't caught up yet to that. So be careful with that. I'm not saying don't have sex with men when you're dating, but what I'm saying is that be careful and know the consequences of it. Rule number 2, you get the best piece. Put yourself first. So many women have the issue of giving, 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 giving. I wake up, I take care of my children, my husband, my community and everything. And then I'm like so exhausted. And I'm like, yeah, because you did not get the best piece. So, yeah. So remember, put yourself first. You get the best piece. Once you start doing that, and look, this is not selfish. We've been taught, don't be selfish, share, give to everyone. The modern woman's today biggest problem is like she gives to everyone because she's so nurturing, right? Put yourself first, have a morning routine. I wake up about an hour before my baby because I need to focus on myself. And I know I even go and buy like macaroons, dessert for myself and eat that all by myself. Like, not baby, don't think about, I'm not thinking about her. Selfish, yeah, but when I feel good, everybody around me feels good. So rule number 2, you get the best piece. So how to win polarity from the start, girlfriends? Project independence and masculine strength. I don't need a man. Remember that woman who like walks like this? Yeah, don't do that because that's ruining polarity from the start. Adjust yourself to his values and lifestyle to appear more desirable. Don't do that. Don't try to be easy. I've been there so many times. I'm trying to be easy. That's a lie, and it's not going to get anywhere. Do not adjust yourself to his values and lifestyle out of fear that he's going to leave. That's a deeper belief that you're going to have to work on. And again, if you want to work together, we can help you with that. How to win polarity from the start, not communicating your boundaries and fear that he'll turn away and leave. So that's one of the biggest issues that women have as well. Not giving him the chance to claim you. One big tip I can give you, don't talk about other men. Don't talk about past relationships. That information is not necessary. And I know a lot of women are like, what? You don't talk about exes? To this day, I don't know much about my husband's exes. Information that I don't need and is not necessary. And I know sometimes it's hard to swallow, but trust me, this is going to give you a big, big advantage because you don't need that. You don't need to hear about his exes. He doesn't need to hear about your exes as well. Don't lower your standards. Don't be always available. And don't give expensive gifts or lend him money. Oh my God, I'm not even going to explain this because I think this is self-explanatory. Rule number 3, the rule of thirds. Always date 3 men at a time. Okay, you don't need to sleep with all of them. Well, preferably don't sleep with any of them in the beginning, but your choice, knowing that there's a consequence. Rule of thirds, the biggest thing. When you're dating, expose yourself to different men and date 3 men at a time. I know a lot of women right now are like, what? Yeah, no. Biggest mistake is what? You see a guy, he has approached you, everything is great, okay, cool. You're seeing each other, continue seeing and start having sex. 2 months pass. You think you're in a relationship. Remember, your system is like alert, alert, attach. He's just like having fun. He might even be seeing other women you don't know about. Because guess what? You're still dating. Until the conversation happens about exclusivity, you continue to date. And you surround, and there should be zero guilt about this. Zero. When you're dating, you're dating. You're allowed to see different men at a time because dating is all about choosing. Remember, you're in the second stage of the funnel. Date 3 men at a time. He's not your other half. Rule number 4, right? He's not your other half. You're a whole person. This whole, oh, my other half, my twin flame. Like, no. You're a whole person. When you come with a man into a relationship, it's like 100 plus 100 equals 200, right? He's not your other half. Your success is number 1, his priority. Veronica, please post in the Q&A box and wait until the end. I might answer that question. Your success is number 1, his priority. A lot of women think, when I get successful, I'm going to get the man of my dreams. And what happens? We see the women who I work with, they get super successful. The man still hasn't arrived. Because guess what? Your man doesn't care whether you're number 1 CEO, whether you're Forbes top 30, whether you're a lady boss. He cares that you're a woman of value who values herself, who has to bring something to the table, knows what she wants, but she's in her body, she's in her family, she knows how to surrender and relax. He doesn't care about your accomplishment and achievements that much. That's actually not the most important. So this is something to remember. Rule number 5, trust actions and not words. Men can tell you whatever they want, but until you have evidence in his actions, do not, well, it's not that do not trust, but men can say many, many things. Let them back it up with actions. Very important. Rule number 6, do not stop your funnel until you get claimed. As I said, that scenario of like, oh yeah, I'm seeing this guy for 2-3 months, and then you get into a really weird situation, a situationship, where it's like, what is this? Your worst situation ever when you're in this limbo situationship. Am I in a relationship with this guy or am I not? That needs to be figured out. I wrote an article about this. So if you don't want to end up in that situation and you want to protect yourself from being hurt by a man who's like, I don't know, dating other women, when you're dating until you get claimed. See 3 men at a time, all the time, until you get claimed. And the claim can be, hey, Christina, I really like you. I really like where this is going. I think we should be exclusive. Will you be my girlfriend? I mean, it can be explicit like that, but it can also be implicit. In my situation, my man said, hey, I'm going to Mexico. We were in Colombia at that time. I have an apartment there. Do you want to come and live with me? That's a pretty explicit/implicit claim that we are in a relationship. And if you're not sure if you're in a relationship, that's okay. You're not sure, you continue seeing other men. Trust me, the man who's going to want to be with you, and by the way, competition for everyone, and they know that you're seeing other men, so they're going to be much more motivated to actually come in and claim you. Hope this makes sense. All right, stage number 3, we're almost there. Relationship. When somebody has claimed you, when a man has claimed you, he initiates the claim. Very important to remember. Conversion, right? Biggest mistake at this stage is women make their men their life project, right? They're like focusing on him. I'm in a relationship now. I can relax and like I can focus on him, forget about myself. Don't do that. Don't do that when you're engaged. Don't do that when you're married. The second biggest mistake, women do this, especially when they get engaged and get married, they totally relax, focus on their men, start running their household, get totally in their masculine energy, put everybody first. No, the work continues through. So that's what I'm saying. If you do this right from the beginning, your life will be a bliss towards the end. I'm still doing this with my man, putting myself first, and he's not my life project. I trust that he'll figure his stuff out. Remember that you're not his therapist. Your man is not your emotional tampon. Let him feel free in the relationship. Let him invest in you. Appreciate his mission. Don't become his coach, client, business partner, or even friend. You're not playing all these roles. You're not his therapist. He's not your emotional tampon. Don't become his mother or his protege. A lot of women do this. Focus on yourself. Focus on polarity. Presentation super zoomed in. All right, maybe that's better. Sorry. So very, very important. Focus on yourself and this will take care of itself. All right, 3 more rules, ladies, and then we're almost at the end of it. Practice the 80-20 rule of advice giving, very important. So how you actually know that if you're in a relationship and polarity isn't right is when your man comes to you for advice most of the time. You need to get out of that dynamic. You need to tell him, like, Zoom to one corner. Okay, claimed support. I think Zoom user has some questions about that. I'm not sure. Zoom back out to fill your screen. Okay, all right, we'll continue. Sorry about that. The recording, I think, will be good. So practice the 80-20 of advice giving. All right, thank you. The premise here is that, you know, your man has to figure his stuff out. Just like you have to figure your stuff out. But for a feminine essence woman, it feels very, very fulfilling when you're coming to your man for advice, for what should I do here, or I feel this. When you're having that backup and the foundation of the masculine, it gives you a sense of that safety and the security. You know, my man is constantly listening to podcasts and reading books, and I love when I don't know stuff and then I ask him to do things for me, or how it makes me feel valued and protected and like I'm taken care of, right? A lot of women want to be taken care of. So come to him for advice and you'll see that that dynamic is going to change a lot. I know there's a lot of questions there, so there might be a lot of questions. So let me know in the Q&A box if you have questions. Don't play the 50-50 game. Remember when I showed you the problem in today's relationship dynamics in general is when we talk about this polarity, the 50-50 game, it creates depolarized relationships, and that's a danger zone. Because when you have depolarized relationships, it's like you're playing 50-50 with everything, all right? You court me 50% of the time, I court you 50% of the time. I mean, the financials, it's a bit of a gray area. I don't want to get into this because it's a whole discussion. But it's like still, you know, my preference is that my man picks up the check and takes care of the survival. So I wrote a really good article on the Don't Play the 50-50 Game. And there's a podcast episode there where basically it says, okay, claim support is telling me I need to zoom my slide like this. Okay. So the success of a relationship is when you're playing 100 in your feminine and he's playing 100 in his masculine. Let him play the role of the protector and the provider, right? When a woman is with a man who she knows and can trust him, that he can take care of the bills, take care of the survival of the feminine, that's not too much to ask for. He knows where he's going and you can trust him and you can relax and surrender after a busy day. Then you have a polarized relationship with a lot of attraction. It's very, very attractive when your man has his shit together, says what he does what he says, and you can really trust him with that. So that's what I mean by do not play the 50-50 game. There's no 50-50 here because we're different. We're powerfully equal, but we're very, very different. And you need to understand that. And polarity is at the foundation of that. And I welcome you to rule number 10 of being claimed, which is happy life, right? Everybody knows this. If a woman is happy in the relationship, in marriage, with children, everybody's happy. Your kids are happy. Your husband is happy. The world is happy, right? If women are unhappy, the world is unhappy. Look at what's happening today. Women are not happy. Women are not in their bodies. The world is not a happy place. Men pick up on your energy so much. Your energy capacity is actually your ability to express is very, very important. And you have that emotional, how do I say, reservoir that's so powerful. A lot of men can't actually handle it. And so know that if you're happy, your man is going to be happy. That's why you need to focus on you. And so I want to share with you a quote. I don't know who said that, not my quote, but very, very important. Women always expect men to change, and men always expect women to stay the same, especially when it comes to dating. So when a woman is dating in the beginning, you know, she's fun, she's free, she's in her body, you know, blah, blah, and then things start to shift, right? And so if you manage to stay where you have been when you started dating, in fact, my journey with my man has continued where I'm even more into myself, even more into my appearance, beauty, focusing on me, then you know you're doing things right. So quick summary, we started with 2 premises. Dating is not a job interview, remember that, and dating is supposed to be fun and exciting. We talked about feminine, masculine polarity is the foundation, right, of polarity, of attraction and creating your dating funnel with intention and how to magnetize your masculine men. We talked about the 3 stages of your dating funnel, your exposure to potential suitors, right? And then dates and the conversion. And then here are your 10 rules of being claimed. I give you permission to screenshot this. Post it on your stories and say, Anna Rova, you're amazing. Joking. But I'll leave this here for a moment. And by the way, I've created a whole series on every single, it's on my IGTV and on my podcast, where I explain each one of them in detail. So now we get to the most important probably part of this presentation, of this webinar, which is, we talked about symptoms, right, in the beginning. So You're burnt out and exhausted in dating, symptom. Dating feels icky, too much work. You don't know how to date anymore, what the rules are, don't know what you're doing wrong, tried everything, have to lead and ask men out. That's why it's so exhausting. Can't seem to break through the patterns of attracting wrong men, wondering where are all the good men. Symptom fixes like know the rules of the game. We talked about feminine masculine polarity today. We'll learn 3 stages of the dating funnel, and you'll learn the 10 rules of being claimed. As I said, for some of you, this is actually going to be enough. But for a lot of you, probably not, because the deeper rooted issues, and that's why you all know the theory of the iceberg, right? The symptoms are here, you're burned out, you're attracting wrong men, but the root causes are actually underneath the surface and are quite hidden. And so I'm here to share with you what are the root causes and what are the solutions to that. So the root causes are, in my experience of doing this for many years and working with hundreds of women and transforming my own life so I attract what I want, is number one is actually sustaining that polarity, right? You can understand that. You can understand how polarity works, but how do you sustain that on a long term? How do you actually sit with the uncertainties if you're going to call or not, right? How do you lean back continuously and let men pursue you in a very embodied way? How do you do that? Hidden beliefs, one of the biggest things, we already talked about it, right? Your belief system about men, yourself, and relationships is what's driving the patterns that you're seeing with men. If you believe deep down inside, and this is very deep introspective work, if you believe that you don't trust men, men cannot be depended on, men are a bunch of assholes, cheaters, blah, 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 then that's what you're going to be attracting. You create your own reality of men. And so there's a lot of different factors that contribute to your beliefs. You know, we learn them from age 0 to 7, first from our parents and looking at their dynamic. We also learn this from our neighbors, neighborhoods, from our culture. We learn this from generations, right? So many of us have women, have mothers, grandmothers, and so on and so forth, who have been betrayed by men in the past, right? And who have passed on these beliefs to us. Right? But we live in a different reality today, completely different reality. And so we do not need to live that story, and that story stops with you, and a different story starts with you as well. Remember, taking radical responsibility, it's all on you. You have all the tools and resources, and the answers are inside of you. If you want to change this pattern, not only for you, but for generations ahead, big claim, this is what the work is really about, changing your belief system, especially today, when we live in the world of toxic masculinity everywhere, which is a bunch of BS, because most men are good men. You just need to see the good in them, allow yourself to see the good in them. I live my life, there's great men around. Yes, there's a couple of assholes around. I don't pay attention to that, because that's not what I focus on. I focus on the good men, and all the good men in my family, the men in my family, my friends, everyone are great men who are in their masculine, because I see the world differently. So my question to you, are you ready to see the world differently, right? And work on that. And the third root cause, or I guess, and obviously the solution, is embodiment. A woman who is embodied and who can actually, not only in her belief system, like cognitively, embodiment has been the hack and actually the missing piece in a lot of the stuff out there. That's why I work with women who have been in therapy for a while, for years, and actually with therapists, because this is the missing piece. It's one thing to tell yourself, I know that I'm enough, and I know that the men are good and everything, but it's a completely different thing when you get out of your head. When you go on a date with men, you want to be in your feminine energy, you need to be out of your head and into your body. So we teach a lot of practices, daily practices for a woman to get out of her head and into her body, because a woman's body today, especially today, with everything that's going on around, we hold a lot of frozen tension. Men do too. Like our body, we're completely disembodied. But for women especially, we need to have tools and avenues to express, to release a lot of that frozen tension so our nervous system can calm down. Because when you're on alert, always on guard, your defense mechanisms are up. You're not going to experience intimacy in dating and with men. That's why a lot of women who are extremely successful in their careers, they experience a lot of difficulty with men, because they can't get vulnerable, because the defense mechanisms are up, paired up to belief systems or disembodiment. This all leads to this whole avalanche of problems. So embodiment is extremely important for women. And so As I said, women are disconnected from their feminine essence, polarity issues. They have distorted belief systems about men, relationships, and themselves. There's no boundaries, no embodied boundaries, because women say yes when they mean no, and they say no when they mean yes, because they're not in tune with their bodies. They're completely disconnected, neck down. Women are disembodied, as I said, constantly in the head, workhorse mentality, right? That's why you're coming to this as a job interview and you can't relax and surrender when your guards are all up, walls are all up, and defense mechanism. And so, as I said, I have an invitation for you before we move on to questions. If your question is, as I said, for some women, this information is going to be enough. For a lot of you, you might be asking, how can I apply this into my situation and fix the root cause? Because once you fit the root cause, everything changes. So obviously you can figure this out on your own. I truly believe anybody can. But the question here is time. Do you have the time? Do you have the energy and the resources? I'm sure you're a busy woman, right? And gosh, it took me probably 3-4 years to figure this out, right? So option number one, you can figure this out on your own, absolutely 100%. But do you have the time? Can you afford to wait? Can you afford to read all the books on your own, listen to the podcasts on your own? Do you have that mental capacity? Or, you can go on a different method, option number two. You could actually, if you don't have the time and don't have the mental capacity, you can actually join us and work with someone like me and our team and learn and apply a proven method that my clients and my women and I have used to attract committed masculine men, so we can work together on your deeper rooted issues. So my invitation for you, if you're curious, if this really resonates for you, I invite you to take the next step. And look, I'm saying this with all my heart, because I truly believe in this work, and I'm seeing this happen every day in the women that we work with, and would love to help you get there as well. So you can apply for a discovery call. So a discovery call is just 1 hour call that you're going to get on with either me or our client enrollment director. I'm going to show you her picture in a moment. I know you'll love it. I have very, very few limited spots available. So that's why I brought a woman on my team. She's a client of mine, has achieved amazing success with her story is just simply incredible. But anyways, it doesn't matter who you speak to, but it's going to be a free session, 1 hour discovery call session, where we're going to ask you about your current situation, what you're struggling with, what are your patterns. Then we're going to talk about what you want. And in this time, we're really going to see, and Claim Support has posted the link in the chat box, girlskill.com/apply. You're really going to see, we're going to see if we really can help you and your situation. In your particular case, if we can really help you, and if we can, then you're going to have a chance to ask us all of the questions that you have about this journey, about this experience, about this program. And if it sounds like it's a great fit, then we get started and we get going, right? And if it doesn't, that's totally fine. If you feel a resonance, if you feel a pull towards this, then I invite you to just go to girlskill.com/apply. There's going to be a short application. And then on the next page, step 2 is you're going to be able to book a call, right? There's a bunch of slots this week that we've opened up. So you can just schedule one that's suitable for you, right? In your time zone and so on and so forth. So I want to share with you some of the stuff that's happening in our group. These are all screenshots from our private Facebook group, an amazing community of women. Of what's happening when you start actually working on the root causes and all of that. Angel says, dating apps, I swore I'd never go there again. Since joining the Claim program, I decided hey, why not try approaching it with my new feminine ocean mindset? I'm getting asked out left and right, it seems amazing. Here's my inquiry. Well, she just posted a question here. And the same woman says, ladies, it's insane how much I'm getting asked out. Literally cannot keep track. Biggest testimonial ever, right? Amelia, that's like, this woman is in a relationship, and we were kind of working together on that polarity. She says, I was walking last week feeling particularly feminine, scarf and hair, bright colors, shiny lip balm. Actually got chased down the street by a man who proceeded to tell me he couldn't let me pass by and that I'm stunning. He handed me this piece of paper with his number. Very flattering, right? Deb says, I had my first date with a man I've been talking to for the past couple of months. He's cooking dinner for us and just called to ask if I have any food allergies. When I asked if I should bring anything, he just responded, just bring your smiling self. Patrice, just popping in to say I had my first date in over 7 years. Can you believe that? With a man that was of such high caliber. Prior to this program, I would have never dreamed of having men drive 8 hours to meet me in person for just one date. plan an entire date, pay for everything, and not put any demands on me to do anything or be anything other than myself. So the other, Michelle, had a date with this handsome, emotionally available man. Date 2, he's already planning a long day together. We hit it off, and I'm looking forward to spending time again. Not in my head, question, yeah, exclamation mark. I'm letting my body lead. Embodiment is following what feels good and ditching limiting beliefs and overthinking. This new way of life has really changed my relationships at work, with family, and now with men. 2 more I got to share with you. This woman says, meanwhile, I've started this process of having increasingly started receiving lots of attention and interest from men. To be honest, I didn't really notice it at first because I was still so wrapped up in my ex. Guess my ex noticed the attention more than I did, and he cut all ties, which gave me no choice but to truly let go of him, which was really hard for me. Now the attention and interest is more apparent than ever. And last one I want to share with you from Nat. I'm starting to understand the value of allowing a man to pursue you, and also how nuts it drives them when you're focusing on yourself and do not always respond right away, and do not always feel the need to tell them where you're going or doing. How powerful is that? I never experienced feeling wanted like this before. It's more eye-opening, impactful for me because I had no intention of making efforts to date at the moment, yet it's just happening, right? So things can just happen. So again, I'm going to end up with this before I answer your questions. Feel resonance, apply for a discovery call, nothing to lose. 1 hour we're going to talk about. It's a free call, either me or Barbara. girlskill.com/apply, short application, then book your call. Our calendars are open. Will this be you? These are all, well, not all, but we have a lot of women in the program. There's some of the women that I've shared. I'm curious, will this be you? Will you be the next success story? Real quick, exciting news, meet Barbara. So Barbara is our client success director. This is her man. I'm like, Barbara, every woman wants a man like that. Obviously, they're here at a wedding, and it's so beautiful, like, to see. Barbara actually started working with me in the program about a year ago, has tried many, many different things, lives in New York, and she has struggled with a lot of things that all of you are struggling with. And through this process, she has managed to not only attract this guy, but they're living together now in Manhattan, and she decided to ditch her career and, well, corporate job and join my team. And now she's doing client enrollment director calls. So she's doing these discovery calls. She knows the work inside out, and she's experienced amazing success. And here's her post, which is May 4th, which is what, a week ago. We're going to Virgin Islands in a few weeks. So exciting. This marks probably the 15th trip in the past year he's fully planned and paid for. Also going to a beautiful resort in Texas this weekend. They just came back. None of this would, and by the way, this is from the wedding. They went to Texas this weekend. I just snatched it from Barbara today. None of this would have been possible if I had not been here, meaning in the program. No doubt in my mind that if I hadn't done the work, I wouldn't be with this handsome and so sweet CMM. CMM is committed masculine men in our program, we call them. I tried everything else, including other coaches. This is the real deal. Like Anna said in the last call last week, the funnel is your biggest weapon, as well as your flow. Flow means feminine flow, which we teach. It's an embodiment practice. This is necessary. It cannot be put in the back burner. All right, ladies. So last thing is, who is this for actually? Like, before you book your discovery call and apply, this is for successful women who are tired of figuring this out on your own. If you've hit a wall, a blind spot, the missing piece for relationships with men, if you want to break through the patterns, finally meet a committed masculine man, don't want to wait any longer, you need an urgent change, tired of showing up at weddings by yourself, you want to feel wanted, you want to feel desirable and claimed, you're open for personalized guidance and help, and important, you're willing to invest in yourself, right? With time, energy, and money. Who is this not for? Who, this program is not for, is if you're not ready for a big change and a transformation, if your dating life or relationships with men are not a priority, if you're not willing to do the work, and if you're not ready to invest in yourself, do not apply and do not sign up. Because we only work with women who are ready for a big transformation, ready to invest in themselves. I hope this is clear. So, this is it. Let's get to questions. I like my time. We can get a little bit over time because of questions, but don't worry if you have to jump off. I'm going to send this out, as I said, as a replay, and it's going to be available for the next 3 days to watch this. And again, my last call to you is apply for a discovery session and book your call. Me and Barbara are extremely excited to talk to you. All right. questions. I'm going to leave this slide up. Let me see what questions you have. So now is the time to actually post your questions in the Q&A box, and let's see what we've got here. If your question hasn't been answered. Okay, so let's see. And if you have to go, by the way, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. All right, Jess, post your question in the Q&A box, not in the chat. And I'm going to be answering them one by one. All right. So, and non-committal, just want sex, but yet make it appear they want a relationship. Okay, and I think this was actually the comment on my question. So I'm going to mark this as answered. Yelena, I dated a man that I never asked where it's going, just showed up and had fun, but in a year it turned out that for him it was casual and just for fun. Where's the fine line? Should I pay attention to certain red flags instead of asking about intention? Well, my question to you first, Elena, if you're still on the call, would be like, were you dating other men? That, like, if we were in a coaching session with you on a group call, you know, you said, I never asked where it's going, just showed up and have fun. But in a year, it turned out that for him, it was casual and just for fun. I'm assuming for you, it was not just casual and for fun. So you see how both parties have each party has a different understanding of what this is. So that's why it's super important to have your funnel from the beginning and do not just assume, right? Do not assume you're in a relationship, which I'm assuming that you assumed that you are in a relationship. So don't do that, right? You continue to date other men until a man claims you, right? So I'm gonna, okay, answer live. I don't even know how to answer that. I'm just gonna dismiss, I guess, this because I answered that. All right. Anonymous attendee, I've done the, I don't know, surprise me, but find that guys say they want a girl who makes, to make suggestions. Should I just not pursue these guys, or it's okay to contribute to date ideas sometimes? Yeah, great question. I think that you should definitely contribute to date ideas sometimes. Like our rule is, for example, you know, if he asks you, what do you want to do? You can say, I'm not sure, surprise me. And then he's like, well, where do you want to go? We always suggest to tell him and your preference, right? Because you don't want him to take you to, I don't know, bowling if you don't play bowling, right? Jen, ask your question in the Q&A chat, not in the chat Zoom. So, you know, like tell him your preference. You say, I like, I don't know, restaurants, Italian restaurants. I like to go hiking, or I like to go here. And then you let the ball in his court so he can organize it and he can book it and then invite you and set up the time. Okay, Veronica. So I've answered anonymous attendee. Veronica, it would be really nice to have your name. Veronica, with online dating, do you give your number unsolicited, or do you want for him to ask? Great question. What do you think, Veronica? I think you know the answer. I think you should wait. Like if you just throw your number at him. I mean, you know, it depends how you want to play this, right? Like, for example, I'm imagining conversation on online dating. He's like, oh, what do you like? I wish I could see you, or whatever. I just give the number, smiley face, hot fire. That's it. So leave the ball in his court. Always, always, always in your dating interactions, leave the ball in his court. Another question, very common. He gave me his number. Great. You give him his number back, smiley face. He gave you his number, you give your number back, right? So it's not the ball is always in his court. Hope this answers this. Another anonymous attendee. Maybe a silly question, but I have such a bad memory, and if I see more than one at the same time, I forget details about them. How do you recommend keeping track of the details? Really good question. I mean, that's why for some women, that's why I'm saying minimum 3, and maybe that is your maximum, right? Like 3 men, you can keep track of, I believe. If you can't, I don't know, put notes and screenshots. Like I feel like 3 men is like a good amount. Some women date 5, but you know, like 3 men at a time, you can keep track. And if it becomes too much, remember, this is your pace. If it becomes too much, step back. But the funnel is going to be continuously going, right? Some men are going to jump out, some men are going to jump in, but just remember to date 3 men at a time at a minimum. So you can put notes in your phone if you want, screenshots and things like that if it becomes too much. But that's what I would say. All right, Tara. Let me see, Tara, I identify as poly. I think what you mean, Tara, is polyamorous. Do you have any advice around this relationship structure? I'm seeking a primary partnership with a masculine man, but I also want to continue having my secondary romantic partnership. Yeah, Tara, good question. Look, we talk about this on our coaching calls and things like that. Totally your choice. I understand why you're doing that, like exploring a polyamorous relationship. In my experience, from everything I've learned and researched, it's extremely challenging to be in many different relationships at a time. You know, most women, most men cannot do this properly with one, and let alone a few relationships at a time. It just, the waters are very murky. I think you should really ask yourself questions, and these are some explorations for you. What is the primary reason behind your desire to have a polyamorous relationship? And if your desire is very strong and you're very clear and you're okay with being with different men in relationships and them being with, like, I just seen too many stories where the polyamory didn't go that well. It's just so common. So I would be just careful with that. But I really invite you to explore that if that's what you want. And I think you're going to have clarity. SM, please post your question in the Q&A. So I hope this answers your question, Tara. All right, Brienne, I'm a life coach and love helping. Do I just hold my tongue with men? That feels horrible to silence myself. I think this is a vague question. Like, no, don't just hold your tongue with men. Don't silence yourself, you know. The fact that you're a life coach doesn't mean that, like, I would answer this question in terms of work on your polarity, right? There's nothing wrong in having a conversation and asking men about their preferences, about their life, but the conversation should be easy, and then you should be in your body and really letting go. That's what it's all about. Yeah, don't silence yourself. This is not about silencing. This is about being fully embodied, having fun, and being in your full self, right? Like, this is what this is all about. Do not silence yourself. Do not tone yourself down. Yeah, just let him lead. Let him play in his masculine essence, lean back. It's not the same as being silent, right? So you could probably clarify your question so I know what you mean. Jesse, will you let the men know you are dating others at the same time? Great question. I was expecting that, Jesse. So when you're dating, no, you don't. Because are men letting you know that they're dating other women? No. And you should, by the way, if you're dating other men at a time, know that men are doing the same. And it's right. You cannot blame a man for seeing other women because he's dating in the same way that you are, right? So the game is even on both sides. You should not, I mean, of course, it doesn't feel right, right? Because I think instinctively and intuitively, and again, it's evolutionary psychology for women, we're so primed to attach to one man, especially when sex is involved, again, because of children, right? Because that, like, you know, the possibility of having children with this guy when you're having sex is very, very big. And then in evolutionary psychology of women, which I've studied a lot, and I've included that in my program, and now that's why my certainty in this work with polarity is so huge, is because parental investment. If you really boil it down to what is the root cause for all of these polarity stuff, and the parental investment. A woman, when she gets pregnant, I'm pregnant now, it's going to take me about 3 years to go through pregnancy, to give birth, and to nurse my child. For men, and there's a biological clock ticking there, right? For men, they can impregnate as many women as possible until they're freaking 80. They do not have a clock, and this is not a problem for them. Not a problem, but this is not a concern. I think there was like the most amount of children a man produced in, I don't even know what year, was like 800. So a man can produce 800 offsprings, right? In his harem. A woman can have Like, what is the maximum? I don't know, 16 or something. Like, that's insane. Yeah, it's insane. But you have to factor that. So, okay, deviated from the question, but no, you do not have to let them know. And I would encourage you not to, because you do not owe anybody an explanation. You're dating. And actually, in a lot of the conversation with clients, like if you're seeing a man for a few weeks and maybe a couple of months, you're still dating men at a time, and then he will know that or notice that, he will ask you, he will bring up the conversation. And if he brings up the conversation, you're like, he says, are you seeing other men, Jessie? You're like, yeah. Why? Well, I am, we're dating, yeah. And then this will really going to hurt his ego. By the way, client support is telling me it's probably going to be, until I answer all the questions, probably going to be about 20, 25 minutes. I hope you have the time. I'm sorry we're going over time because it's a lot. But anyways, I'm going to send out a replay. If you have to jump off, please don't jump. But if you can stay, please stay. So no, you don't have to let them know. You don't know an explanation. If he asks you, what are you doing on Saturday? I'm busy with friends. That's it. If this really bothers him, he will ask you, are you seeing other men directly? This is going to hurt his ego. And then how you answer that question is like, I wasn't aware we're exclusive. I didn't think that was what's happening here. And this is the conversation where he's going to say, well, we are exclusive. And you're like, oh, really? Okay. And this is how you know your man has claimed you. And it's up to you then to choose whether you say yes or no. Is this a man you want to be in a relationship with or no? If no, you move forward. Hope this answers that. Let's see, Stacy. Do you have advice on accepting where a man is instead of getting caught up in his potential? Stacy, I'm a bit confused with this question. Stacy, are you here on the call? Let's see. Oh yeah, by the way, a reminder for client support. We can answer a lot of your questions about the work and everything on your discovery calls. That's why the discovery calls is there. Okay, Stacy, you're on this call. Let me see if I can actually clarify this with you. How can I do that? All right, hang on. Stacy, delete. No, okay. I know I can sometime. Yeah, I know we can do it, but I have to. Oh, there you are. How did you do that? Stacy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay. How did you do that? How did you unmute yourself?
I didn't. Somebody asked me if I wanted to unmute myself. I think it might have been support.
Yes, that's right. Sorry, this system is still new to me. All right, can you clarify your question, Stacy, so I can answer that?
Yes, thank you. So meeting guys who appear to have their lives together, basically go on dates, everything is going well, and then all of a sudden they don't actually, they're unavailable, all these things, that we're talking about. And so I see one's potential and I continue hanging out with them because I believe they will reach it. Whereas I think that's a waste of energy and time. And I should just get better at being like accepting, no matter how great everything is, that they're just not where I am at. Does that make more sense?
Yeah. So when you say I see the potential, like he doesn't necessarily have his life together fully, but you see the potential of where this could lead to.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Like
walk away.
You have to, and this is actually one of the mistakes that women do, and I'm not saying you're making a mistake, this is just to clarify. Women do this a lot. They settle for a guy who's like, there's so much potential. Mm-hmm. But that potential is unrealized and you do not have any guarantees whether it will be realized. And I feel like when you're doing that, you're also participating, like you're taking the role of actually contributing to that potential because you see the potential in him, but it's unrealized. But that's not your job.
Right.
That's not your job, Stacey. It's his job. So I always recommend go for men. So the main question is, if you would be to spend the rest of your life with this man just as he is right now, assuming that this is it, he has arrived at his potential, would you go for it?
Right. Okay. That's a
If
good
your
way.
answer
So
is
yeah.
no,
Mhm.
then no.
Right. So that was my question. How do you just accept the reality of the situation and move on? And I think that you just answered it very well. I'll ask myself that question. Would I be okay with this?
But
And
also,
go
sorry
ahead,
to
sorry.
interrupt you. I was going to say, but also I feel like we need to be a little bit flexible with this situation, as in, a man can have a lot of potential, and while seeing you, he can actually show you with actions that things are happening for him, right? You could be seeing a man for and dating other men for 3-6 months, and things are happening for him, and you see that he can take care of you. He will be that masculine pole for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that, like, it's a dangerous zone when you're, as a woman, you're very established, very successful, and the guys below your level, the polarity might shift, the danger zone of polarity might shift. So I would always recommend, if you're not happy with where he is, give him a few chances to really show you that he can do what you want him to do. But if not, and again, focus on how you feel. If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel right, then I would suggest you move on, because when you say no to this guy, you're opening yourself up to, a lot of other men who are there at your level or even higher.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Anna. And I just wanted to say I had 2 other questions in the box, but I can save those for a discovery call, because I know that you need to, finish up and answer other people's questions.
Yeah, great. And you're going to get
Okay.
a personalized answer as well. And, the purpose of the discovery call, I just want to mention that, is not necessarily, okay, you have a lot of questions about dating, let's get a discovery call. The purpose of discovery call is to explore working together, but we can discuss a lot of the things. Like, one of the things that stood out to me, it seems like this is a pattern for you, Stacey. So in a discovery call, we would talk about that pattern, what's behind this, how long have you been struggling with it, we'll talk about what you want. And if this is something that we can help you with, then we'll talk about working together.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Thanks so much,
Thank
Stacey.
you.
Thank you. I'm going to mute you and I'll let claim support de-promote you. Panyas was asking, why not dating apps? You can do dating apps, no problem. It's just you need to get out of the dating apps as soon as possible and meet the man, because as we said, a lot of things can be in between the lines and you're in an artificial reality. So make sure you meet up as soon as possible. S. Boyum, what about dating apps that require women to make the first move? Okay, great question. Everyone who's here still with me on the call. Bumble, as one of my clients put, I think you're talking about Bumble. Bumble is an app where basically it gives the woman the advantage of initiating. My client called Bumble, and I don't want to, shit on Bumble, because I think it's a great app. Actually, a lot of my clients have a lot of success on Bumble. But one of my clients said Bumble is a breeding ground for beta men, which is harsh, but true. Because the person who created that app that require more women to make the first move has no idea about polarity, has no idea about how dating and attraction works, and that the deepest desire for a woman, for a feminine essence woman, is to be pursued, courted, feel safe, and so on and so forth. So just wanted to say that you're making it easy when you're doing the first move. Now, of course, there's a lot of reasons behind it, right? Like, not letting men, because obviously this is done, I understand why, but it changes the games of polarity. So I know a lot of my clients, when they're on Bumble, they do, because he can't even message you before you initiate. So you do initiate, but I think what my clients are doing there is like literally, because I don't teach dating app tricks. For me, it's all about the root cause and how do we change that dynamic, because when you're embodied, you don't need my tips and tricks in dating. You're just in your body, you're having fun. It's not a job interview, you're playing the polarity. So you would initiate, maybe send a smiley face, but that's it. So you basically say the channel is open. I'm here, initiate, my friend. That's it, I'm giving you an opportunity. So I hope I answered that question. All right, Dale, within the funnel, how do you stay honest and not lead someone on? Do you tell them that you're dating other people? Dale, I think I've answered that already. You don't know an explanation to anyone. You're assuming that men are constantly dating other women. Constantly, like, it's a reality in their world, because in their world, they're like, if I find one woman, why should I settle for? I need to find the best pair of shoes out there. I always give that analogy. So play the rules with them together. You don't tell them anything unless, as I said, there's a conversation. Are you seeing other men? Yeah, I wasn't aware we're exclusive. I'm just seeing what's out there, putting myself. What you're doing here, Dale, and you say, how do you stay honest? You are honest. You're dating. You have to realize that you are dating. Maggie, age doesn't matter. You can be 57, you can be 60. It really doesn't matter. I mean, of course, there's a consideration. Dating in your 20s and 50s is a bit different, but polarity is always the same. Jess, how do you adjust the dynamics of your connection if you already made some mistakes so far? I'm assuming, Jess, you're talking about now that you know the polarity and the dating file, you've made any mistakes. It's okay, you just course correct. So, for example, you've been seeing one man, open up your funnel. If you're in a situationship where you're like not clear what this is, the biggest thing you can do right now, if you're seeing just one man and you don't know where this is going or whatever, start dating other men. Open yourself up. Trust me, things are going to happen very quickly for you. It's okay to make mistakes. When I start working with women in my program, it's like it's all a gym. It's all a muscle. We're just building the muscle of femininity, polarity, and embodiment here. It's fine. You're going to make mistakes, but now you can choose differently because you know it's on you. Candy, does this still apply to older men and women? You mentioned procreation and the role it plays in dating and relationships. What happens when you're past procreation age? Candy, great question. We work with women of all ages. A woman who's 57 have just joined the program last week with us, and it doesn't matter because a woman's body is designed to procreate, whether you have a womb or not, whether you pass procreational age. This is all evolutionary psychology and biology. The rules still apply. It doesn't matter whether you're past procreation age, in procreation age. It's how we're built and how we're designed and what we feel in our bodies. So it doesn't matter. Because a woman energy center is actually in her chest and in her womb space. Whether she has a womb or not, it actually doesn't matter. It's just the energetics of the body and psychology. Okay, Veronica, I asked this question about giving him the number. Joanna, I had never considered becoming their friend therapist coach as a problem. Can you please elaborate on the 20/80 advice rule? How do you keep from giving advice when you have done and studied a lot of therapy and can see right through them? Can you love someone who you don't look up to intellectually? Thank you so much for everything. All right, loaded question. Sorry, not loaded, but there's a lot to it here. Well, first of all, Joanna, if you've never considered becoming their friend therapist coach as a problem, that's something to look at because this is a problem. That's not your role. As a partner in attraction, your role is you have to decide and choose one role, but it's definitely like it can be, a lover, a partner, a wife, but definitely not a friend, a therapist, or a coach, because that's not your place. If you're going to get into that place, you're in your masculine energy, and your man is going to look up to you, come to you for advice. You don't want to be in that position because that's not your job. It's not your problem to fix. It's on him. With the 80/20 advice rule, claim support, please post in the chat box my whole episode on rule number, I'll tell you what the rule number it is, and my IGTV and my podcast episode, it's rule number 8. Please find it on IGTV. I think Veronica, who's my assistant, you're going to be much more equipped to do that. Please type it in the chat box. Joanna, please watch that. It's a half an hour episode where I really explain that in detail. When you're done, so how do you keep from giving advice? How do you keep from giving advice? It's all work on, again, root causes, right? Beliefs, embodiment, and so on and so forth. Can you love someone? And by the way, Joanna, once you listen to that episode, message me on Instagram and we can continue speaking about this. Can you love someone who you don't look up to intellectually? Good question. Can you love someone you don't look? You mean like a man? I think you can love someone when you don't look up to them intellectually. But for me personally, I mean, it's a very tricky question to answer. I think there's no black and white rules here. But for me personally, I need to be intellectually stimulated by my man. I would be bored otherwise. I wouldn't respect him. I was in love, and I loved very much my man, but he was a feminine man. Can you love someone? Yes, you can. But I don't think you're going to respect them very much or be stimulated by them or really kind of see maybe a future. Like, I'm very much intellectually stimulated with my man, and it's very, very attractive. So John, I hope you're gonna, yeah, Veronica just posted the rules in the chat box about 80-20. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna skip that one. All right, Veronica, when you're dating multiple men in your funnel, do you communicate that to them? We've answered that question. Jen, what do you do when he asks who you are going to dinner with? We kind of answered that question. I'm going to dinner with a friend. Right? Remember, if you're dating, you don't know any explanations. I'm going to dinner with a friend. Is he male? Yes. Like, why are you asking? You know, it's like, you don't have a claim on me. I don't owe you anything. We didn't agree to be exclusive, right? No guilt whatsoever. If you have guilt about this, you need to work on this. Online dating, most authentic apps or services that you suggest. I actually don't have that suggestion, Lynn, unfortunately, because I'm not an expert at dating apps or services, to be honest with you. Even like my opinion on matchmaking is, I'm unsure about matchmaking, because in a lot of matchmaking stuff out there, they just match the two profiles. They actually don't. I think some matchmaking services offer you coaching, but the first and most important thing is about working on your beliefs, working on your polarity and your ability to be in the body. And matchmaking services don't do that. So I don't have the advice on that, because I don't focus on the apps. I focus on the root causes and helping a woman change and transform her patterns with men and her whole belief system, not on the apps. So sorry about that. I mean, obviously we know Tinder, Bumble, whatever, but you see, the thing is that these are just mechanisms. If you do it right, you won't even need the apps. Men will be approaching you on the street, right? On meetups. So focus on yourself, apply the 10 rules of being claimed. Things are going to happen for you, trust me. The apps are not end all, do it all, be it all. Of course, it increases your exposure, but it's not everything, right? And of course, there's some tips and tricks and whatever, but I don't focus on that. All right, anonymous attendee. If we're not supposed to be his therapist and he needs emotional support, how do we guide him to finding a therapist? You do not guide him to finding a therapist. You can suggest, but that's not your primary job. It's a really good question, right? Like, a lot of women take on that role of helping, figuring it out, taking on his problems, and so on and so forth. You have to let your man, you have to give your man that space and trust that he will figure it out. If so many men have just been used to using women as their emotional support, you can't let that happen. I mean, yes, of course, as a partner and a wife for my husband, I am his emotional support system, and probably not the biggest one, I would say, but when a man is relying on a woman, on his woman in a polarity dynamic as the primary source of emotional support, that leads to a lot of murky water and a lot of stress on your system. And you can't carry that. You have to trust that your man will figure it out. When you're not there for him, let's imagine that scenario. I mean, it's not that you're not there for him. You're there for him, and you can suggest. And there's some ways you can suggest this as a feminine way. Hey, John, I feel like or a lot of the time, it's all about boundaries. A lot of the times we've helped women communicate this in a way. Hi, John. You can communicate that in feelings. When I have to take on that role of, Veronica's saying rule number 7. What's rule number 7? I forget my rules. Yeah, Veronica, paste please, post in the chat box rule number 7. Don't let your man become your life project. Maybe. I think that might be relevant to this question. But it's you can communicate this in a way, because it's very hard on your system. You have to be able to trust your man to figure it out. If he needs to be a therapist, how do you guide him to finding? You don't. You can suggest and say, look, I recommend maybe seeing a therapist would be a good idea. I feel that maybe seeing a therapist a good idea. But that's it. That's where your role ends. And you have to trust that he'll figure it out, because he's an adult man, he's not a child, and he will figure it out. Do not play that role. I hope this makes sense. Claim Support is telling me, Darcy, you have a question. What sort of exercises, mental, physical, do you recommend to help you surrender, help you become more in tune with your body? Darcy, this is something we're going to discuss on the discovery call. It's all feminine embodiment, mental, physical. This is something that you do in tune with your body. I've written a lot of articles on this. And actually, Veronica, in the chat box, you can paste rule number 11, which is a bonus rule of feminine embodiment. Feminine embodiment is the key here, Darcy. So I encourage you to book a discovery call if you're interested in working with us. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Susan, online dating. I'm new to it. Went to my first date last week. Was really fun. Congratulations. Any tips for online dating? You mentioned meeting in person 2 weeks. Yeah. Everything that I mentioned so far, and I think this question has been already replied. Have fun. Play the rule of polarity. Apply the 10 rules of being claimed, and continue your dating funnel, and you'll be fine, Susan. And if not, it's taking a few weeks and you're seeing patterns and you know there's a pattern there you need help with, then apply for a discovery call with us and we can help. Joanna, do you keep going out with unavailable men if no one interesting comes around? No. Do you keep going out with unavailable men if not? No. The fact that no one interesting comes around, I believe that we need to look at the root cause. There's plenty of interesting men around, extremely interesting men around. The question is why you're attracting unavailable men and why you're not attracting available men and interesting men. Men are boring, dating is boring. This is all a story and a reality that perhaps, Joanna, you're living in. And so that needs to be changed. But if you know the men are unavailable for whatever reason, why would you go out with them? Why would you say yes to unavailability if you can say yes to availability? But we need to look at, through the mirror principle, something that we talk about a lot. If you're attracting emotionally unavailable men, how are you emotionally unavailable? That is the root cause there. Something needs to be worked on. Hope I answered your question, Joanna. All right, I see there's a lot of questions here. So what I might do, I might answer 2 more because we're at the 2 hours. And then we'll see if I could perhaps do another episode. Claim support, if you, well, obviously you're here. Maybe you can help me figure out or take screenshots of the questions, please, so that I can answer that in like an IGTV live maybe, and then send you all a link to that because I don't want to keep you for more than 2 hours. But let's spend another 5-10 minutes and then, yeah. I've been talking to and sleeping with exclusively with someone who's out of state for 8 months. He's a workaholic and I get it, but I also want more of him. Afraid to let go because of what I see in him, but also I know I deserve more. I've been married and I'm not rushing to marriage, but I want commitment. Okay, this is going to be the last question. And then, yeah, please screenshot my support team, my beautiful support, screenshot everything. I'm going to answer that separately. I've been talking to, sleeping with exclusively with someone who's out of state for 8 months. He's a workaholic and I get it, but I also want more of him. Afraid to let go because of what I see in him, but also know it's more. Yeah. So how I would answer this question is, first of all, sleeping with exclusively, like the question, I mean, look, long distance relationship is really hard and it almost borders of unavailability because there's a reason why, and if this has been a pattern, so for the person who asked this question, I would look at question number 1 for you. Has this been a pattern for you? If yes, then I would look at what's behind that, right? Like what's the root cause of that? And we need to work on this, right? So if you're interested, again, jump on a discovery call with us so we can help you. But I'm not clear here whether you are are you exclusive with him and he's exclusive with you or not? Is this a relationship? If it's a long distance relationship and you're there for 8 months, if it doesn't feel good in your body, then you know the answer. It doesn't feel good in your body. So you have to decide where are your boundaries here. Are you available to be with a man long distance? And some women are, like, you know, my girlfriend actually, she's engaged to a man, they've been in long distance for 1.5 years. It's hard, but it's totally possible. But I'm a bit worried about your language here in terms, he's a workaholic and I get it. Is he long distance with you because he's a workaholic? Like, you know, if it's murky and you're not in a relationship, then I really advise you to don't put your eggs in one basket. You don't have the time. Put yourself into the best position to attract what you want. But it all goes, and you say you're afraid, right? Afraid to let go because of what I see in him, but also know you deserve more, right? So that's what I would say. Not rushing. If you want commitment, open yourself up to available men. Seems like this man might not be available. And of course, I'm answering this question without knowing you. But if this is a pattern, I invite you to book a discovery call with us and see how we can help you fix this situation. Because 8 months is a long time. Doesn't feel good. Don't go there. All right, everyone. I think we're going to finish off here. I see that there is like 60, 70 questions. So what we're going to do, I think my team, men in New York City. Okay, my team is saying, SM, you had a good question on men in New York City. Let me see. And then we're going to finish there. My team, please screenshot all the questions because I'm going to do an Instagram. SM, many men in New York City want to date a girl who's independently wealthy or has a very successful career. So in New York City, a woman's success actually does become important. How should one navigate a city where everyone is focused on each other's jobs? Yes, great question. I can tell you my answer to that is that this might be a belief system because SM, whatever your name is, I hear this all the time on discovery calls. It's New York, it's LA, it's Utah, it's Vermont. There's no good men around. Like, yes, of course, there is a consideration when you live in a location, big city, success and everything, but true masculine men, trust me, they do not care how much money you're making. They do not care how much money you're making. They do care that you have your life together, that your income does not depend on him. Like, they don't want a gold digger, right? But they're not interested in the number or how many achievements and success you've had in your career. They're just not. That's not, they want you to be happy, full in your body, and to feel like you're successful. And that's all on you. That's not on him. And you say independently, they want to date a girl who's independently wealthy. I would question the type of men they are, right? Because if your worth is defined by your independence and by your successful career, then we need to work on that. And that's the transformation that we've seen in the program as women go through the process, because so many women define themselves and their worth by their achievements. And they think that the more they achieve, the more successful they're going to become, the better men they're going to get. Guess what? No, it doesn't happen. And this is the biggest dilemma that a modern woman has to deal with. I'm so successful, I'm so independent, where are all the good men? That is the big question, right? So it's not New York. I mean, yes, of course, there's a consideration there, but there's so many men in New York, and New York is actually the biggest location that we have clients in and women in our program. They just had a meetup the other day. It's not about that. So I would encourage you to shift your perspective and to not come to, that's why you go into the table, you know, that woman who comes on a job interview. If you're going to sit down with a man on a date, thinking or worried that your CV, bringing your CV with you and saying, hello, John, here are my achievements, and I'm an independently wealthy girl, have a very successful career. What do you have to bring to the table? You know, like, to me, that's a no. Because as a woman, as a feminine essence woman, that doesn't define me. I'm not here for that. Yes, I am successful and I am independent and I don't need your money because I know I can do it. But I want a man who can hold space for me, right? If they want to date an independently wealthy girl, let them date that girl. I don't want a man like that in my life who wants me for my independence. And look, there's going to be plenty of men like that there. But question for you, are you available for that? If they want to date a woman with a very successful career, that tells me that there's something deep, like, what's the intention behind that? Like, is this because he's not secure within himself? You know, is this because he wants a girl who's an equal to he, like that's strange to me. Everyone is focused on each other's job. That not everyone. Not everyone. There's great men in New York City who do not care what you do for work. Like, trust me. Barbara, the client of mine, he's a Wall Street guy. Men who are secure in their masculinity. You know what a fresh experience it is to be with a woman who's just there and not discussing her career in New York City, not discussing a job. I'm not available. Why do we need to talk about this? I'm here to get to know you. Let's have fun. I encourage you to change that that talk, that self-talk within you, and trust me, everything will change within you, because dating and relationships is not about success and career. It's about intimacy. It's about creating a powerful dynamic. Of course, your man, I keep going in circles. We're going to finish after this one. Of course, a man wants you to be full and successful within yourself, to be happy with where you are. And if you're happy, just for example, settling for the minimum of your life, let's say, you don't have ambition, you don't have dreams and goals, and you're not happy with your life, then yeah, that's a different story. He wants a woman who is his equal, but not necessarily his equal in how much money she's making, whether she's independently wealthy or not. I would question that, because you're not in competition here. Let him compete for wealth and success and career with other men, but not with you. You're not there for that. You're not his business partner. Very important, right? Unless you want to. All right. So, ladies, I'm going to answer these questions in a live, hopefully live on IGTV, hopefully. And then I invite you all to jump on a discovery call. If you want to talk about and get your questions answered by me or Barbara and see how we can work together, most importantly, know the discovery call is not there for us to answer your questions. The discovery call is for us to really explore how we can work together and work on your deeper rooted issues. If you don't have the time, you're tired of where you are with men, and you really want a different dynamic, breakthrough, live life as a feminist woman, be surrounded with men who pursue and court you, then I invite you to join us and join our incredible community of women. girlskill.com/apply. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been amazing. As I said, sorry I didn't get to all of the questions, but in the interest of time, it's like 10 p.m. in New York. Thank you so much, and I will send out what we need to send out and answers to the questions. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.